Hey friends, welcome back to the channel and welcome to kind of a chit-chatty video today. I've had some things on my list of videos to film, just kind of some ideas that have come through based on comments that people have made on previous videos, based on some, I don't want to say trends, but some things I've seen from some of my fellow handbag tribe members of maybe some potential, or not even some potential, but some shifts in channel focus. And then I also wanted to touch on this whole Hermes thing. I know Deb from Wild Unfiltered has made a video about it. I haven't watched that video. I purposely didn't watch it yet because I didn't want whatever she said in her video to influence what I was going to say in mine. But I certainly will watch it after I film this video. But let's talk about, I think, a sort of an easier one, I guess, which is I had a comment on my tag video. It wasn't really a tag, but I think we're sort of making it a tag video of your most annoying bags. And somebody made a comment, and I'll try to go back and find the comment and pop it up here. But the gist of it was sort of, why are you wasting money on annoying bags? You could be using that money for good, like giving it to charity or whatever. Anyway, I will tell you from a personal standpoint that we do charitable giving in this family. It's something that's very important to us. It's part of our religion, as a matter of fact, to mitzvahs for others, etc. But this is a luxury channel, although we will get into the whole changing and shifting of channels and maybe focuses shifting a bit and whatever. And I'm going to talk about how that may or may not influence my channel. But at the moment, this is a luxury channel and we focus on luxury, primarily handbags, but also shoes, ready to wear, styling, fashion, all that kind of thing, some beauty thrown in as well. And so I'm spending some of my discretionary income on these beautiful things. And unfortunately, some of them we end up finding out have some annoying qualities to them, right? And that's just par for the course. So comment sort of raised a further question in my mind, which is, should we buy bags because they're beautiful, or should we buy them for their functionality? And so, yeah, let's chat about that for a second. So I think when you're in the luxury handbag space, we're buying things because they're beautiful, right? I mean, we can all point to bags that we know of that are incredibly not practical, impractical, that's the word I was looking for. Let's take, even though I don't own it, but let's take the Petite Mall, for example, right? Amelia owns how many, like 5 or something? And I know she doesn't use a couple of them, but one, she uses the OG one, and it's the OG one she bought. She uses extensively, and she talks a lot about it on her channel. That is an incredibly impractical bag, okay? Especially the way she carries. She generally carries it, or at least the way I've seen her carry it in person, is handheld, right? You can basically fit, I don't even know if you can fit your phone in that, but you can basically fit a lipstick, a couple of credit cards, maybe your phone. That's it. I mean, it is an evening bag. You are not taking that bag out to go shopping. I mean, I guess you could, but my point is, it's a beautiful bag, right? I mean, it in and of itself represents the heritage of Louis Vuitton, right? It is a petite malle. It is a small trunk. And that's how Louis Vuitton got its start, right? In trunk making. So there is a history and a heritage that goes along with that bag that, yeah, it's not the most practical bag in the world. It's not going to be your throw on and go run errands bag, but it's gorgeous nonetheless. And it doesn't mean that you can't buy it. Now, there are bags that some of us buy in the luxury space that are incredibly practical, right? I mean, so many of us owned the Pochette Matisse. A lot of us owned the, what was it? The multi-pochette accessoire, right? The one with the 2 pochettes on it with the guitar strap. And I think it had like a chain too, I think. So you could take them apart and you could wear just one, you could wear the other, you could wear them together. You understand what I'm saying. And it was a very practical bag, right? It was a crossbody bag, great for a mom on the go, for example. If you had your diaper bag maybe, and you just had that little bag for yourself, you could easily throw that into your diaper bag. Or if you were a working woman, you could easily throw that into a briefcase or a work bag, whatever it is, and have your small things. If you were running out to lunch, you could just take off one of the little pouches that might have had your cards and cash in it or whatever, and take that out to go to lunch, and lots of different uses for that bag, right? So that was a very practical bag. Now, do you have to spend thousands of dollars on a bag to be practical? No. There are lots of people that love the Lululemon belt bag, right? I don't know how much that bag is. What is it? Maybe like $50 or something? I have no idea. There are lots of looks for less for the bag. You can get them at all different price points from, Target and Walmart, and I'm sure like Shein and whatever. But that is a very functional bag that is certainly not a luxury house price point. And I think there's room for all of them. And I think that if you looked probably at all of the collections of at least my friends that I have on YouTube, so the handbag tribe, as well as some of you all subscribers who have become friends, we all have non-luxury bags in our collection that serve some sort of function, right? It may not be the bag that we carry all the time, but it serves a particular purpose. Obviously, a bag needs to be functional, right? You're not going to just own impractical bags, because that would be silly, right? Because we do need at least one, probably, of our bags to be practical. You have things to do, you have errands to run, you have places to go, you have a work, you have whatever it is. And whatever that bag is needs to be practical for that situation. Do you need to have 20 of them? No, but some of us do. But you can also have the impractical, absolutely beautiful, that you not only love carrying, but that you love looking at on a shelf because it's just gorgeous sitting there. So this sort of concept of why are you buying bags that annoy you? You could use the money for better things. Yes. However, just because something is annoying doesn't mean that you don't love it. And I would hope that if you watched my video on that topic, you understood that I very much still love every single one of those bags. And they are not bags that I would be considering destashing or moving on to a new home. But they are annoying at times with some of the things about them. And I can appreciate and still love a beautiful bag despite its flaws. I'm thinking of an analogy now. I mean, are you going to throw out your spouse or your child or a friend just because they have some flaws? No, you still love them and you still keep them in your life unless they are significant flaws. I'm thinking if you've got a spouse or something who is, abusive or something like that, yeah, then maybe you should think about moving on. But you don't like the way they load the dishwasher. You don't like the fact that when they take their socks off, they leave them in a big ball instead of pulling them out. So when you go to do the wash, you don't have to do that yourself. Those are like the little annoying things of a bag, for example, but yet you still love your spouse and you still love looking at them and love being with them. That's the same thing with a bag. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Do you follow my analogy? Does that make sense? And do you agree? Or should every bag that we carry be practical and functional, and it should not have a single annoyance or flaw at all? Let me know. Let's talk about the Hermes, the latest saga, the latest drama, I guess, surrounding Hermes. And apparently this is not the first time that drama has ensued with this particular boutique in Troy, Michigan. Now, I will say that anything I say here is my own opinion. It is not based or rooted in fact. I'm sure there'll be a disclaimer that I've popped up on the screen here to explain. But here are the basic facts. There was an assistant manager, and I've got some things printed off here just so I can reference and get names right and all that kind of thing. An assistant manager, Bilal Chaudhry, I'm not sure that I'm pronouncing that correctly. So he was hired as an assistant manager. Now, he was hired as an assistant manager after this store had reportedly terminated the store manager who was allocating, again, allegedly, allocating quota bags to fake customers, one of which was her own spouse. So there you go. We'll just set that aside. So this boutique, which is in Troy, Michigan. It's called the Somerset Boutique. I'm assuming that's the name of the mall or something. This is not their first rodeo when it comes to sort of misbehavior or some sketchy things going on at the boutique. So this new guy was hired. He had been working at Gucci, and then he was hired by Hermes to be the assistant store manager. And what the case alleged, and unfortunately, I could not locate the actual court documents. I think there was a way I could have paid to get them. I really would have loved to have read the filings on it, because I would have liked to have known exactly what was alleged, in the petition. But like I said, I couldn't find it. It wasn't available just to pull up and read anywhere. So I'm just kind of going off of what good old ChatGPT found for me. But anyway, what was alleged is that there were clients who he reached out to, clients I'm assuming of his, and he indicated that there was an employee website, or that he could get bags for clients at a discounted rate, and that he would hand deliver them to them. And because they were employee discounted bags, and Hermes does do employee discounted merchandise. They do have things that you can buy. I feel like my old sales associate in Denver said, I think they're allowed to buy one bag a year, maybe. There is, I think, a website, and you can go on, and it's like a Hunger Games kind of thing. Get on the second it goes live, and you try to get things. If I recall correctly, that was a couple of years ago that she was talking about it. But they are, like I said, I believe allowed to get one bag a year. And it does come with a mark on it. If you've seen any people talking about Hermes bags, I want to say maybe it has an S or something that they stamp, I think, by the logo or something. It has some symbol or some letter or something that indicates that this was an employee purchase bag, right? And the understanding is that employees are not supposed to resell those bags, okay? They are not supposed to leave the possession of the employee, but I'm sure it happens because we have all seen some of those bags floating throughout the pre-loved system. So it was not unrealistic or totally out of the realm of possibility that he could have bought at least a bag through this employee portal that he could have resold. But apparently he was doing this with multiple people, and what has been alleged is that either A, the bags that he sold to these clients were not real, or he took money from people and haven't even delivered a bag to them, whether it be real or not real. So there's sort of two prongs to the allegation. Either you gave him money and he gave you a fake bag, or you gave him money and he hasn't given you anything yet, okay? And apparently this was all discovered because one of the clients had something that needed to be fixed on their Birkin 25, took it into the Madison Avenue store, actually here in New York, and they quickly confirmed that it was counterfeit. I assume that once that person found that out, then this whole, ball of twine started unraveling. And if you looked on, is it Privé? What's the name of the site? Privé Porter? Privé Porter. On their Instagram page, they had some screenshots of some texts between this assistant manager and some client. So allegedly, I believe there are 30 something odd people who have come forward, and some spending up to $50,000, I guess, for a bag. So what it said is that the claims centered on fraudulent sales schemes that allegedly targeted clients seeking to bypass the boutique's rigid spending system. So as we all know, it is sort of a pay to play when it comes to Hermes. You have, you've got to do your pre-spend and all that. And so I guess it says he targeted both personal friends and regular customers, which is interesting, and approached them. And he said that he had access to this employee portal and offered specific bags at a discount. And I do remember this from my sales associate. The portal that he's talking about never has quota bags on it. I think you can get Picatins and Evelyns and, garden parties and things like that, but You're not going to get a Birkin on it. Again, I do think that they can get a Birkin or a Kelly a certain number of times, whether it be, I don't know if it's, like I said, once a year or if it's once every couple years. I don't know what the time frame is. Supposedly, payments were actually sent to a family member of his, which is why the family member was also named in the lawsuit. So the lawsuit named the assistant manager, it named this family member who the payments were going to, and it also included Hermes. Now, why did they include Hermes? I mean, there are a couple of theories. One is just when you are bringing a lawsuit, you bring it against anybody and everybody that could potentially have any liability. It's one of those, throw it up against the wall and see what sticks, right? So that's one thing, is you just bring everybody in. And, lots of times then they are, dismissed out of a case. They come in and say, look, judge, my client doesn't have anything to do with this, and here's why. And so then they get, removed. I also think, Hermes has deep pockets, right? So if you're going to bring in another party to the lawsuit, you certainly want to bring in somebody with deep pockets, because who knows what this assistant manager allegedly did with this money. And then thirdly is, was Hermes somehow, I highly doubt, and this is why I would have liked to have seen the court documents. I can't imagine that they were alleging that Hermes was actually a part of this scheme, right? I mean, that would make absolutely no sense, because that's just devaluing the Hermes bags, the actual, legitimate bags. But it could have been the way that Hermes gives out bags. I shouldn't say gives out, because obviously you have to buy them, but this whole, pay to play, pre-spend type of situation, which, we saw another lawsuit in California, which then eventually got dismissed, where people were suing Hermes on the fact that they had done their pre-spend and yet had never been offered a bag. And so this whole pay to play system was, discriminatory. So it could be that they brought Hermes in to say, the way you allocate bags to people is what caused this guy to do what he did, right? Again, I don't know. I didn't get to see the court documents, so I'm just surmising. I'm just sort of brainstorming what, if I was the attorney for the plaintiff, what I would have alleged if I was, filing the complaint. Now, as a follow-up, on the 28th of October, so I think a day or two after Privé Porter, I think, kind of broke the story on their Instagram account, the case was dismissed, actually. And I don't, again, because I can't see the court documents, I don't know what the basis of dismissal was for. I would be very curious to see why it was dismissed. Yeah, very interesting. But my understanding, again, from reading some of the things out there on the worldwide interwebs, is that they are planning on filing another lawsuit. And apparently the attorney, I think, has sort of been through social media asking, if this happened to you, please come. So I don't know if they're looking to file a class action suit, perhaps. We'll have to see what happens. But the case has been dismissed, which, like I said, is kind of interesting. But what I think this whole thing brings up is we all worry about the authenticity of bags in the pre-loved market. And there are amazing, amazing super fakes out there. I mean, clearly whatever this guy was buying was passing the muster of these clients, right? I mean, the only reason why this whole thing fell apart was because one of the clients took their bag to one of the boutiques here because they needed a repair. It's always sort of been talked about in the luxury community of, if you want to make sure that you're getting a genuine bag, you need to buy directly from the boutique. And now this sort of puts in question that whole concept. Now, he was doing it in such a way that certainly seemed a little shady. I mean, if I were a client at this store, I mean, frankly, I'm an Hermes client. If my client advisor said to me, hey, psst, hey, but, like showing the trench coat, whatever. Anyway, if they said, hey, I can get you a bag at an employee discount. I don't know. You guys, I'm thinking about my specific sales associate, for example, in Denver. I mean, I trust her implicitly. So, I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's not so far-fetched that I would think she's just trying to do me a favor and get me a bag and whatever. The fact that she would say, oh, but I can't give you a receipt, would I think that that's odd? I mean, probably not, right? Because, I mean, you have to know that you buying a bag as a customer that is supposed to be for an employee that's already, kind of sliding into the gray area. But my point is that I think you'd have to have some suspicion that this was not really on the up and up. And so these bags had to have been pretty amazing, right? And so do you then think that, like, I mean, I guess they couldn't sell you, well, now here's a thought. What if you get offered a Birkin 25 in gold with gold hardware, togo leather, and you pay for it, right? And you get a receipt because you're buying it through the normal channels, the normal course of business. What would stop this guy, for example, of switching out the fake Birkin 25 in gold with gold hardware in togo leather for the real one, and then taking that real one and selling it out on the resale market as a brand new bag and making however much money plus, right? He's selling an authentic bag. So this idea of if you buy in store, you're guaranteed authenticity, I don't know, maybe this really does call into question. Obviously, this particular situation, the guy was not selling through the normal channel, right? He was selling through the back door. This was definitely under the table, right? He's getting personal payments through Zelle to a family member. They're not giving receipts. I mean, everything about this was under the table. So it's not like it was going through the Hermes system and their registers and their computer system, etc. But yeah, I mean, now that I'm thinking about it, it certainly would not necessarily be out of the realm of possibility that a little sort of bait and switch could happen actually at a boutique. Not that Hermes or any brand or any, doesn't matter who the brand is or the luxury house is. I mean, any house I'm talking about, this is not just about Hermes. Any luxury brand, I guess, could potentially have that happen. So that's a little scary, right? I think it just goes to show that you just buyer beware. You need to be on your toes. I still don't think you really have to worry about buying something at a boutique and worrying about the authenticity. I mean, I can honestly say I have never purchased something direct from boutique and taken it to be authenticated. It wouldn't have even crossed my mind until I read this, and then my wheels started spinning as to like potential fraud that could happen by a sales associate, by a client advisor within actually the store. Like I said, that whole scheme literally just came to me. But I don't think we really need to worry. Like I said, I mean, there's so many cameras, there's so many things. I mean, I can't imagine that it would be very difficult, I guess, is my point, to get away with that kind of selling a legitimate bag, but putting a fake one in the box and wrapping it and giving, you know what I'm saying? I just think that would be hard, very hard to pull off. Probably not impossible, but pretty hard. Whereas this guy, like I said, was all behind the scenes, under the table. They were paying him via Zelle. He was dropping bags off at people's homes, I guess, individually. Like nothing was happening within the boutique is my point. So this was all done outside, I'm assuming, to sort of go along with this. I'm getting it off of the employee portal, so you won't be able to have a receipt, whatever, and so deliver it to you, that kind of thing. But anyway, yeah, I'd love to know your thoughts about this. I mean, I feel horrible for the people that were taken advantage of, although I have to say, I think it's not that they deserved it. I don't mean that at all, but I think you should have been a little weary about what was happening. I think if I had gotten a bag that way, I'm thinking I probably would have had it authenticated, just because, like I said, it seems a little sketchy. But anyway, so we'll see what happens. We'll see if this other lawsuit gets filed and whether it's a class action or whether it's something else. And I don't know about you, but if I was shopping at the Troy boutique, I think I'd find another home store to shop at. Editing Lisa here, because this video is way too long. So I basically have it to a point where it seems sort of like a natural place to break this into 2 videos, since I'm talking about kind of like 4 different topics. So I'm gonna upload this first half, and then you'll see the other half. I'll finish editing that and get that up, probably on Wednesday or something. But yeah, it was gonna be like 45 minutes long total, and this part, the first part, is like 24 minutes. So yeah, let's just make that part 1, and then you will see part 2 in a separate video. So thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this half of the video, please give it a thumbs up. It does help the YouTube algorithm. And if you like this kind of content, I'd love to see you back here. So click the subscribe button and the notification bell. That way you will know every time I upload a video. If you want to keep on watching, there'll be another one on the screen here for you to click on. And wherever you are, I hope you are having an amazing day or evening. And I will catch you in the next one. Bye, guys.